Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we're going to be upping the ante with some loaded resistance work using the Theraband. Therabands typically come in three strengths, light, medium and heavy. I'm using a medium intensity band today, pick your poison. If you don't have a Theraband at your disposal or an elasticated piece of material that you can substitute for the Theraband, you're going to work freestyle, but I'd like you to try and create a little bit of opposition in the movement so that you're creating resistance of your own. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify your movement if you need to, pause the stream if you do need to take a rest. You ready? Let's hit the mat. For the first movement, we are going to, and might require a little bit of a setup time, depending on whether you're using a long piece of band like I am, or whether you've got a full circle looped band, or whether you're using a shorter band. If you've got a loop band, you're just going to step your feet into the band. If you've got a loose piece of Theraband like I do, you're going to lay the two pieces on the floor and you're going to step into the Theraband, essentially creating a locked circuit. If your band isn't long enough, maybe you're on the tall side, you can do the same setup, but kneeling down on your band, pinching the band ends underneath your knees. You're going to grab the band overhand with your hands, and you're going to float the elbows up towards the ceiling and back down. Readjust the band if you need to, creating resistance, enough resistance so that you can feel the muscles working. You're going to float your elbow points up to the ceiling. Make sure that you're standing up nice and tall with your feet stacking just inside of hip width distance apart. Tuck your tailbone under, pull the belly button in. Let's do 3, 2, last one. You're going to grab the band underhand. So palms looking up to the ceiling. Tuck the elbow points into your waistline. And you're going to give me a double bicep curl, curling your fists in towards your shoulder line. Let's do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to give me a single on the left, bracing the other hand just gently on your waist. You're going to give me 10 single bicep curls, just curling that fist in towards your shoulder line. I'm going to call that 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to double up again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 10 singles on the right, embracing the other hand gently on your waist. Make sure that you're tucking that tailbone under, pulling your belly button in. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Then keeping your underhand grip, you're going to take the arm out to the side so that the band is relatively taut over your opposite leg. And you're going to just gently pull up as far as you can towards the T position. Depending on how tight your band is, you may be able to bring the arm all the way up into T or not. Shooting for between 5 and 10 repetitions. Then we're going to change the grip, make it an underhand grip. The band might twist slightly, that's okay. You're going to lift as far as you can towards the T position and back down, readjusting your band if you need to create more or less tension. Last one. Keeping that overhand grip, you're going to cross the band across the midline of the body, and you're going to give me a little lift of your elbow up, almost as if you were pulling the choke on a lawnmower, yeah? The choke string. All right, you're going to give me 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Uncoil the band, Grab it underhand with the left hand, right hand on your hip. You're going to take the band just out to the side, and you're going to pull up as if you wanted to come into a T shape and float the arm down. Try to keep the arm long and lengthened. And don't worry about how far the arm is actually coming up. As long as there is resistance in the band, you're going to be working. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll change the grip. Taking it underhand this time. So knuckles are looking down towards the mat this time. Shooting for between 5 and 10 repetitions. Then keeping that underhand grip, crossing over the midline of the body. So you're beginning at one hip point, the opposite hip point, and you're pulling that elbow up towards the ceiling as if you were pulling the choke string on your lawnmower. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. We're going to open up into a plie line from here. So if you were on the knees, if you had to modify because your Theraband was short, you're going to open up, come into a standing frame, and open up your legs into a soft plie line. It doesn't need to be a full plie, so you don't have to have ankle and foot in a straight line. You can give me a slight 45. Make sure you're tucking the tailbone under, pulling the belly button in. You're going to hold the Theraband out in front of you, more or less shoulder width apart. You're going to just give me a soft pull out, grabbing the Theraband underhand with your knuckles looking down towards the floor. You're going to shoot for 10 pulls. Control the resistance in the band as it comes back. Always control that resistance as the elastic comes back to its start line. Hold out, and then give me 10 big pulses up and down, keeping that tension even in the band. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now bring the 2 movements together. So you're going to, as you pulse, you're going to pull out, coming back to your start position. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, let's change our setup position. Turning around to face the top end of the mat. Small little pyramid frame between both legs, toes looking towards the front of the mat. Extend the Theraband out in front of you. Use it as a placeholder at this moment. So you can just give me a soft tug and then hold the band even as you give me a small little lunge line. Just bending through the knees, maybe hovering that bottom knee just off the floor, holding the band steady. If that feels good and you need more work, you're going to tug out into the Theraband every time you come into that soft kneeling frame. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, you're going to change sides. You can either just flip around or you can just change legs. All right. You're going to start finding your little pyramid frame. You're going to gently just give me a soft tug out, lock the band in position, and you're going to come into your soft lunge, bending the knees simultaneously, maybe just hovering that back knee off the floor. If that feels good, begin tugging out at the same time that you're coming into your kneeling frame. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Come back into a high standing frame, dropping one end of your Theraband on the floor, stepping onto the ends of the Theraband with both feet, feet stacking just inside of hip width distance apart. If you do have a long band, you could just pinch it to the correct amount of tension on the band, or you could give me a couple of wraps around the fist. Place the other hand on your hip. Anchor your elbow into your waist. Make sure that the Theraband is traveling behind your elbow line and not in front of the elbow line. You're going to think of giving me a little crunch. So compress on the side that your Theraband is in, and then punch the Theraband overhand, thinking of arcing and framing through your head. Let's do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, bring your elbow back to parallel so it's in line with your shoulder. You're going to drop the fist down and bring it back up. So just a little L drop, keeping that almost half a cactus line on the right. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2. Band is traveling behind your arm. As you complete the last one, you're just going to unwrap. Remember how many wraps you had on your hand. If you did wrap it around your fist, you're going to set up that same line on the other side. Stepping onto the ends of the Theraband, make sure it's secure underneath your feet so that it doesn't shoot out. And then adjust your tension line on the Theraband. Opposite hand braces on your hip. The hand that's holding onto the Theraband, make sure the Theraband is traveling behind your elbow. You're going to tuck in towards your waistline, giving me a little crunch on side 1, then crunch on side 2 as you punch overhead. So you're giving me a side crunch on either side as you punch overhead and back. I'm going to call that 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, bring the elbow back to parallel. Hold that line. Drop your fist towards the floor and back. Just stopping when the fist is in line with your elbow. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Unwrap. You're going to change your orientation on the mat for the last one. Setting yourself up in a standing frame. Set yourself up in the middle of the mat so that you've got room to float the leg behind you. You're going to open up your Theraband. If it did loop like mine, just gently unloop it. Step into the Theraband. Let's do left leg first so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to hold on to the ends of the Theraband. You can just pinch it between the index finger and the thumb. If you're working with a full loop, you can just hold on to the loop. You're going to set up a little plie line. So find a parallel foot stance first. One leg in the band, the other leg traveling alongside it. And then just step your loose leg out behind you. Float the arms out as if you wanted to come into T and lock them in position so that the Theraband is just beginning to engage. You're going to lean forward and you're going to just float your back leg up and down, giving me a soft little toe tap on the mat. If that feels good and you've managed to find your balance, you're going to add the arms up by tugging your fists up towards the ceiling, creating more tension on the Theraband. Every time you float the leg up, the hands come up simultaneously. Every time the toe taps to the mat, the fists come down back to their start position. Let's do 2 more. You're going to end high, hold the tension on the band, and flutter the leg behind you. 5, 4, 3, 2. Softly come back down, give the legs a little shake out, and then change legs. Starting with the legs alongside each other, one leg in the band, other leg outside of the band. L lean forward, step the loose leg behind you, and set up your soft frame. Just opening up the arms as if you wanted to go into T. When you're ready, you're going to begin lifting and lowering the leg behind you. Not just driving from the glute, but drawing up along the quad and the hamstring. If that feels good, begin adding the arms. Every time the leg floats up, the arms float up. do 2 more. We're going to end high and pulse. 10, 8, keep the tension of the TheraBand, so arms should be burning. 4, 3, 2, bring it down, shake it up. We're going to change our setup on the mat, coming down into a kneeling frame on the mat. If you do need some padding under the knees, roll up a towel, or you can roll up your yoga mat double. All right, you're going to grab the TheraBand overhand, so knuckles and fists looking down towards the floor. Extend the TheraBand in front of you at about shoulder height. You're going to tug the band out and bring it back with resistance. Kneeling up nice and tall, trying to keep your shoulders stacked over your hips over your knees. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in. All right, let's play with it. Drop down just shy of your thighs, come up and then pull out. So the band is soft as you drop it down towards the top of your thighs. And then as the band comes back up to about shoulder height, you're giving a nice little tug out. Work resistance as the band comes back. Last one. Open up the band a little bit wider. Start with the band nice and soft just at the top of your thighs. You're going to give me a full 360-degree rotation and come back. If the arms don't want to drop all the way back, you can modify the movement and just bring the hand behind your ears, pull out, and come back to your start position. So just behind your ears and pull back. If you've got the range of motion all the way over, maybe tapping the band to your bum before floating back to your start position. Let's do 3, 2. You're going to end with the band behind you. Pretend that your band is a shawl or a scarf. You're going to wrap it. Be careful of your hair if you do have a ponytail. Behind your shoulder blades. You're going to hold on to the TheraBand, bending your elbows. Think of that little L shape that we had through the hands just now. And you're going to give me an L punch forward, one hand at a time, keeping your elbows parallel to the floor. Hold your kneeling frame nice and high, shoulders over hips, hips over knees. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to think of coming into a camel side stretch and at the same time punching both hands out. Come back to your L shape and then punch out as you dip off the center line, giving me a long stretch from the top of your kneecaps along your quads through the lower belly area. I'm going to call that 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to find a push-up position from here, and you can either work from 4-point kneeling or come into a full plank line. So if you are on the tall side, maybe just take a step forward so that you've got enough room to extend the legs behind you. You can give yourself a little bit more play on the TheraBand if you need to. You're going to plant your hands on the mat. The TheraBand is still tucked around your shoulder blades like a little shawl. If you're working from 4-point kneeling, you're just going to bend the elbows and use the TheraBand resistance as you come back to your start position. If you're feeling adventurous today, like a little bit more work, you're going to execute from the plank line, giving me a push-up and coming back to your start position. So either full plank line or from your 4-point kneeling frame, shooting for between 5 and 10 repetitions. Once you've done 10, you're going to modify and come into an oil rigger, dropping down into 4-point kneeling. If you were in the full plank, you're going to extend the left leg behind you and then hover it up at a tabletop height, so more or less hip distance. And then you're going to think of mimicking the push-up position you were just playing with, but try to bring your chin low to the floor and then use a little bit of resistance as you come back to your start position. Just shooting for 5 repetitions on each side. So once you've done 5 on side 1, you're going to draw your leg back in and you're going to change sides. Last one. The next movement requires a little bit of setup. Undo your shawl. Easiest way to get there is to come into the kneeling frame and step. Let's do the left side first. Step the leg left out in front of you. Take the Theraband, loop it around your left foot, and then step the left leg back, coming back into your 4-point kneel. Open up the ends of the Theraband and anchor it underneath each palm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the Theraband between my index finger and my thumb, and then I'm going to anchor the rest of the band underneath my palm. Create as much tension as you need to, so you might need to readjust the tension level on your Theraband after the first one. You're going to hover your left knee just off the floor. Watch that you don't bump your toes on the floor. You're going to extend the leg behind you and then softly draw it back to a hovering knee position. Shooting for 10 repetitions. Work that resistance as the knee comes back to its start line, parallel or alongside the other knee. Let's do 2 more. You're going to end back at your start position, knee hovering off the floor. You're going to open up the leg to the side of the room and come back. Band traveling outside of the knee for a little bit more resistance. So you've got resistance on the inside and resistance on the outside. Shooting for 10 repetitions, little window wiper. 2 more. You're going to end high, float the heel in towards the center line and back. Moving right to left, left to right. One section of the band traveling between the legs and the other band on the outside of the working leg. 2 more. Float back down to your start position. Step the right leg in. May require some finesse. And then step the left leg out. Readjust the tension level on your Theraband so that it's equal on both sides. When you're ready, you're going to hover the right knee and foot off the floor. Kick the band behind you, extending as far as you can and working resistance as the knee comes back to its start position. I'm going to call that 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to end back at your start position and you're going to give me a little window wiper, making sure that there's a section of band traveling on the outside of the leg that you're lifting up and down. Shooting for 10 repetitions, or as close to 10 as you can manage. Ending high and then traveling the heel in towards the midline of the body and back to your start position, moving parallel to the mat. So left to right, right to left. Two more. And then we're going to find our way into a seated frame from here. So gently unbinding yourself, consciously uncoupling from your band to find a seated frame on the mat. And in the middle, in a moment, we are going to be rolling it down. So if you know that you do need a little bit of padding, you can place your padding in position for your roll down. You're going to begin by uncoiling your band if it was coiled, and you're going to loop it around both feet, giving yourself equal play on both sides of the band, and then cross the band. So you're making a nice little X with the band. Holding on to the TheraBand so that there's enough tension in the band. You're going to give yourself more play on the left, anchor it alongside your hip, and you're going to start with your right hand closer towards your ankle line, and you're going to just pretend that you're pulling a sword out of its sheath, and you're going to pull the fist towards your shoulder line, keeping your elbow nice and high and keeping that tall seat on the mat with your shoulders stacking over your hips. Let's do 2 more, then we'll change sides. Lengthen on the right, anchor your hand alongside the hip, and give yourself less play on the left. Just change the band so that the working band is floating on top. You're going to pretend that you're pulling that sword, traveling as close towards your shoulder blade as you can. And of course, the amount of tension that you have on the TheraBand is going to determine how close you can bring that fist towards your shoulder line. Let's do 3 more, and then we'll take it into a full extended leg roll down from here. So readjust the tension level on the TheraBand so that you're holding the band as close towards your ankles as you can with soft tension on the TheraBand. You may need to readjust after the first one. Feet are sandwiched together. You've got your padding in place if you need it. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Round out your belly. Look down towards your belly button. Peel down towards the shoulder blades. Connect your head to the mat. Inhale halfway. Look towards your feet. Exhale for the rest of the move and come up into your seat. You're going to rinse and repeat. Shooting for a nice fluid roll up and a roll down. Remembering to look in towards your belly button as you float down and back up. Let's do 3 more. You're going to end seated for me. Step your left leg out of the TheraBand, but keep floating it in parallel to the right. Keep your left leg anchored to the mat as you roll back to float your right leg up to the ceiling and then peel back to your start position. So the right leg coming up to 90 as you play with that tension on the TheraBand, readjusting your hand line if you need to create more or less tension on the TheraBand. Change it up. Step your left leg in. Right leg stays anchored to the mat as you roll back. The left leg follows your movement, coming all the way up to 90 before floating back down as you sit back up. Keep belly button to spine, and remember to keep looking in towards your belly button, both on the roll down and the roll up. For your last one, just slip your padding out if you do have it there, because it will be in your way for the next one, and just make your way gently down to the mat. You can uncoil the TheraBand so it's back in parallel. Keep your right leg anchored on the mat. Hold on to the TheraBand, maybe anchoring your elbow points into the shoulder, and you're going to give me a single leg drop on the left. Keeping your right leg long and extended. If you're feeling the lower back, you can bend your supported leg, placing the sole of the foot on the mat. One more. You're going to end low. Step your right foot into the TheraBand. Take your left leg out. Keep your left leg anchored to the mat. Lift up to the ceiling and back down. Two more. You're going to end high this time. Stepping both feet into the Theraband. You can give yourself a little bit more play if you need it. And you're going to separate the feet, thinking of almost trying to open up your legs into V, creating as much tension as you can in the Theraband. Shooting for 10 repetitions if you can. Step the left leg out of the Theraband, but float it alongside your right leg. Create a little bit more tension on the Theraband now that you've only got one leg in, and drop the right leg down and then float it back to your start position. You don't have to bring the leg all the way down off the mat. You can work with a smaller range of motion, maybe just to 75 and back as you drop the leg down. If that's too much, you can bend your supported leg, placing it on the foot as you drop from the 90 position to hover. Once you've done 10 repetitions, you're going to change legs. Stepping the left leg into the band, floating the right leg alongside. Your right leg is free floating, and you're going to drop and lift, drop and lift. Let's do two more. You're going to end high, step both feet into the Theraband, and give me that little V pull out, working resistance as you come back towards the center line. Oops, my Theraband just broke. Luckily, I do have a spare with me, just in case. All right. So do your little V position in and out. Once you've done 10 repetitions, hopefully without your band snapping like mine did, you're going to step out of the Theraband and you're going to bring your legs into the tabletop position. We're going to work a modified 100. You're going to drape your Theraband over the top of your thighs. You're going to pinch the Theraband between your index finger and your thumb, and you're going to peel up into a tabletop position, starting with your fists maybe just below your calf line is a good position, and you're going to vigorously pump the arms up and down, keeping the feet and the knees clipped together as you work a modified 100. We can use that double breath pattern that we used on Tuesday. So inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale, inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. Two more. Hold the tabletop position. Let's feed the right leg into the band, either keeping your head scooped and peeled up off the mat, or you can drop down head and shoulders on the mat. Pick your poison. Keep the left leg in table so it's free floating, and you've got the band only looped around the right leg as you kick the leg out to about 75 and float back, either keeping the head and the shoulders off the mat or connecting them to the mat. Then double up, step both feet in, pushing the Theraband away and working resistance as the knees come back in towards the tabletop position. Either holding that scoop position, or if you're feeling the neck, connect your head and your shoulders to the mat. Once you've done 10 doubles, you're going to give me 10 singles on the left. So step the right leg out of the Theraband. The right leg is just floating in table, and you're going to keep the right leg floating in table as you bend and extend through the left leg, either keeping your head and your shoulders on the mat or scooping to pillow for a little bit more work through the core. Let's double back up, both legs in. One set of doubles. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Step your legs out of the TheraBand, holding the tabletop line, so knees stacking over your hips. You're going to grab the TheraBand overhand and float the TheraBand overhead. At first, just give me a soft tug out so that the TheraBand is taut. And you're going to just focus on finding a little tick-tock through the knees first, and then we'll add the arms. Take a big breath in. Exhale to drop the knees off center to the left. Inhale to come back. Exhale to drop right. Come back. Begin slowly tick-tocking your knees side to side, pausing off the center line for maybe 3 seconds before coming back to center and taking it over to the other side. To add to this exercise, every time you float off to one side, you're going to open up the band into, or rather stretch out the band and then work resistance as it comes back. So opening up the band as you drop the knees, inhaling to come back to center and lessening that tension in the TheraBand. So the arms are opening and closing in unison with your tick-tock movement. Let's do one more to each side, and then we'll work a little progression from here. Come back to your start position. So there's just soft tension in the TheraBand and the arms are locked in position. Use your knees to trace a circular pattern clockwise, slow and controlled, and then anti-clockwise. If that feels good, add the arm movement. Before you begin your leg circle, pull the band taut, hold it taut. Keep that tautness for as long as it takes you to trace your circle and then release the tension. As you start tracing your next circle, pull the band taut, keep it taut for as long as it takes you to trace the circle, release the tension. Find a steady rhythm of your own. Not rushing through that circle, and using your breath pattern to control it. So maybe inhaling for half of your circle circumference and then exhaling for the other half. And maybe using the circumference of tracing around maybe a tennis ball, yeah, with your knees. Let's do one more to each side. Come back towards the center line and feed. Let's actually come onto the side of the body. For the next one, easiest is going to be if you sit up first and feed both of your feet into the TheraBand, making sure that you've got the same amount of play on both sides. You're going to keep the TheraBand looped around your feet, holding or grasping the TheraBand in the top arm. You're going to maybe fist your hand down onto the mat and ease your way down onto the bottom arm, either using your bottom arm as a pillow, or you can give me a small prop, fist that hand into the mat, bring it as close towards your chest line as you can so that you're creating enough tension on the TheraBand. You're going to lift, hold, and hover your feet just off the mat, creating enough tension and pulling out slightly with your feet as if you wanted to open up the legs into a V frame. Hold. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Keeping that tension the same on the TheraBand, you're going to lift and lower the legs. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Anchor the bottom leg into the mat. Lift the top leg up and down, holding a parallel line for 10. Once you've done 10 repetitions, you're going to change the foot line on the top leg, dropping the heel towards the floor and giving me a slight turnout position as you shoot for 10 more lift and lowers of the top leg. Going to call that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to change the foot line, dropping the toes down, heel pointing up to the ceiling as you lift and lower for a further 10. Once you've done 10, the leg that's been working, your top leg, you're going to keep that leg in the band as you roll over onto your back. Just readjust yourself so that you're lying in the middle of the mat, maybe bending your supportive leg. Going to hold on to the TheraBand, trying to extend the leg that you've just worked as hard as you can. Try to extend it and just give me a gentle tug down on the TheraBand, creating as much tension as you can. Either keeping your supportive leg bent, foot connected to the mat, or you can extend that leg and brace into the heel. Hold here for at least 10 to 15 seconds. And then grabbing the band, opposite hand to leg, T-framing the other hand, and just pulling slightly across the midline of the body and holding just off center, feeling that nice little ITB band stretch. Peel your way back to center. Bend your supportive leg. You're going to give me a little one-legged roll-up, nodding your chin to your chest, peeling up and down, allowing the elbows to softly float out to the side of the room to create more tension on the TheraBand as you roll up and down. If rolling up and down is not for you today, just come back to the A-line or maybe open up leg to the side of the room and work a B-line stretch. Shooting for 10 roll-ups if you can, working at a pace that's comfortable and sustainable for you. You're going to end high, come into a little boat hold, stepping both feet into the TheraBand, creating as much tension as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2. Without thunking your heels to the floor, use the tension on the TheraBand to softly fold forward, grabbing as close to your foot line as you need to and flaring your elbows out if you need to as you come into a soft extended leg forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Heel back up into a seated front. Keep the band over your legs if you can. You're going to work the other side. So I'm just going to shoot myself over so that I'm not, so that I am facing the camera. You're going to flip over onto your side. Remember to stack your body as you lie down. So think of stacking shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles, either giving me a long pillow on the bottom arm or a small brace. Fist and anchor your TheraBand into the mat. And then lift, hold, and hover the legs, pulling slightly apart on the TheraBand and holding that tension even for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Keep the tension on the band even as you lift and lower, lift and lower. Shooting for 10 repetitions. Once you've done 10 repetitions, you're going to anchor the bottom leg and lift the top leg up and down in parallel. Then change the foot line. Drop the heel down to the ceiling, toes looking up. Sorry, drop the heel down to the floor, toes looking up to the ceiling. So the leg is in a slight turnout position as you lift and lower. And the amount of tension that you have on the TheraBand is going to determine how high you can lift that leg. Then change it up. Point the toes down to the floor and the heel up to the ceiling as you work a further 10 repetitions. As you complete your 10, the leg that's just been working hard, you're going to keep that leg in the band as you roll over onto your back, just realigning yourself so that you're in the middle of the mat. Bend your supportive leg. Readjust your hand position on the Theraband so that there's a nice amount of working tension on the Theraband, and just gently tug down, thinking toes to nose, heel to ceiling, either keeping your supported leg bent or getting the extension and bracing into that foot. Trying to hold for at least 15 seconds if you can. And then you can change the stretch into a little ITB band stretch by grabbing opposite hand to leg, maybe T-framing the other hand and just drawing the leg across the midline of the body and then tugging the band slightly towards your nose so that you can feel that engagement on the outside of your working leg. We're going to bring it to a one-legged roll-up from here, or you can open up into a beeline stretch if you prefer. Bend your supportive leg, connect the sole of the foot to the floor, readjust your hand position if you need to, brace into your supportive foot, nod your chin to your chest, float your elbows wide, tugging on the Theraband and creating a little bit more tension to roll up. Then nodding your chin to your chest, rounding out through the spine and peeling back down to the mat. Shooting for between 5 and 10 repetitions, depending on how swiftly or how slowly you're rolling through the movement. But always working with control, even if you are moving swiftly and strongly through the movement. Let's do one more and then we're going to find our way into a boat hold. So find your line, step both feet into the Theraband, readjusting it if you need to. Create a fair amount of tension on that Theraband. Hopefully this one will snap as well. Hold it nice and tight. Then you're going to ease your way into that forward fold without thunking down. So keep tugging on the Theraband. Create work, create work, create work, create work. Sit up nice and tall. Find staff pose first. And then fold forward, readjusting, maybe bringing your hands closer to the leg line if you need to, as you fold forward on the last one. Holding steady, giving yourself at least 10 to 15 seconds here. Make sure you've got tension on the Theraband. And then peeling up to come into a high seat and closing off your practice for today. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I do hope that you enjoyed that Theraband class. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please share with me your comments and your feedback. And remember to always have your subscription notifications on. I shall see you all for yoga on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.